You haven't did nothing. They haven't did nothing too. Yeah, she asked him what's corporate number.
Because the only thing I asked him was for corporate number.
That's the only thing she asked him.
I was going to go over there and get the card from them.
I heard the F-bomb and everything else.
No, because Goldie was sitting here talking crazy to me. No, but that's not what you're going to do to me. You're not going to grab on me like that, no.
Come on, Kiki, let's just go outside.
Please talk to you separately. Because he just come here and just grabbed on me like for no reason. I would say I was doing.
Yes, he would have. All she did was ask him what's their number. Why are y'all pushing her? She's not doing nothing. Like, what are y'all doing? No, y'all doing nothing.
Y'all ain't really doing stuff to me. What are you doing?
Man, I'm about to break your arm. That's what I'm about to do.
You about to break her arm?
Go ahead and quit resisting.
Like, what are y'all doing?
No, I'm not.
Y'all got her titties out and everything.
What's going on?
Right now, you can put
No, I'm understanding. Trying to understand what's going on.
She not, y'all ain't even telling her why she being on the raid.
Y'all not even telling me what I'm doing.
Like, why you talking? Kiki, just turn over. Kiki, turn over.
Pull your head around. Roll on your stomach.
What am I doing wrong? What did I do wrong? Y'all haven't told me anything that I did wrong.
Roll over on your stomach.
Y'all haven't told me anything that I
Kiki,
did wrong.
y'all got her head behind her back.
Right. I don't have anything.
You want to come fix her clothes?
No, y'all be.
I am at Waffle House in Pinson, and they have the door locked, and they have customers in here, and they're saying that they're closed. The customers are eating. They are having to be white customers only, and I am an African American, and they won't. But he's in there cooking, but they're closed. And the young lady that's walking down there will not open the door, and they have people that they're serving, but they're telling me that they're closed.
Hey man, get the fuck out of her face!
EJ, get in the car! EJ! Hey, we're pissing!
Umbrella. She's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. So, out in California, a brother by the name of Diante Yarber was shot at least 10 times by Barstow police in a Walmart parking lot while he was waiting in his car. So let's see what made the police shoot that many times in a crowded Walmart parking lot at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Police coming under fire after a deadly shooting. Family members say it was unjustified and excessive. And cell phone video shows the car driven by Diante Yarber in the parking lot of a Walmart nearly hitting a police officer. Barstow police say officers opened fire after Yarber failed to stop and rammed the two police cars. Today, attorneys and civil rights advocates released new information from the autopsy and say the shooting was not necessary.
After they shot Diante at least 10 times, they left him in the car, struggling, breathing, hoping he can still be here. They didn't check his pulse. They didn't do anything.
Eyewitness News contacted the Barstow Police Department for their reaction today. So far, we have not heard back.
So, according to the police, they said they got a call about a suspicious vehicle, which may be true. There are a lot of people that will call the police on us for any reason at all. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, you still fit the description. So anything you do is suspicious. Now, this brother was parked and sitting in his car waiting for his family to come out of Walmart. And according to the police, they were trying to conduct a traffic stop. And one of the cops claims that he recognized Diante Yarber. And they said it was something about a stolen vehicle. At first, the car he was driving was supposed to be stolen, but it was his cousin's car, and his cousin was with him. And then it turned into he was wanted for questioning from another stolen car that happened before. And then that's when they say Diante Yarber resisted and suddenly put his car into reverse and almost hit one cop and then smashed into 2 cop cars. And the cops, fearing for their safety, was left with no other choice but to shoot over 30 times in a crowded Walmart parking lot at 10 o'clock in the morning.
The family of an unarmed man who was shot and killed in a Walmart parking lot earlier this month is now demanding justice.
Yeah, KCAL9's Tina Patel reports tonight from Barstow, where the family's attorney is sharing new information about the case.
The attorneys for the victim say the preliminary autopsy shows that officers used excessive force here at the Walmart, and that's why they say they're filing suit. Cell phone video captures the moment officers opened fire on a car at the Barstow Walmart earlier this month.
You can hear approximately 30 shots. We know at least 10 struck the driver.
That driver, 26-year-old Diante Yarber, did not survive. His family members, some who were in the car with him at the time of the shooting, are now hoping attorneys can get them some answers.
Here we have again another unarmed black man being shot and killed by the police.
Barstow police say Yarber may not have had a gun that day, but they say he was using the black Mustang he was in as a weapon, hitting several police cars as he tried to get away from officers. That's why they say 4 officers were forced to open fire, even though they were in a busy Walmart parking lot with other people around.
At that time, they were in fear for their safety. They were in fear for their partners and other people in the parking lot if that action continued.
They say Yarber not only had a criminal past, he had run from police after being found in a stolen car just a month earlier. So they were on high alert when they recognized him at the Walmart.
They conducted the traffic stop and they actually saw him. He was the driver. He opened the door, he communicated with them, they ordered him out of the vehicle.
They say investigators are now reviewing the officers' body cameras that show that interaction, but the family's attorneys say there was still no reason to shoot so many times and not to rush Yarber to a hospital afterwards. According to their preliminary autopsy, he died of asphyxiation, choking on his own blood.
Which indicates to a medical professional that he struggled to survive and he was neglected treatment for a great deal of time.
Yarber's funeral will be this Friday. His family says they are opening it up to the public.
Now, after they shoot at him over 30 times and he got hit over 10 times, they let him choke to death on his own blood. This brother Diante Yarber wasn't even alone in the car, and other people in the car got hit who had nothing to do with it. And to justify it, they used the same old "I feared for my life" story. The cop in Texas, Roy Oliver, he had the same story when he killed the 15-year-old Jordan Edwards, when he was shooting into a car full of people, a car full of teenagers. And even though they charged him, they still continue to push his court date back further and further. And in this case, the cops did have on body cameras, but they won't release the body camera footage. But there is video of the situation, and it contradicts the cop's story. The video does show him backing up, but it doesn't show him hitting the cop. It doesn't show him ramming into 2 police cars. There's pictures of the car, and it doesn't have any damage, especially if he rammed into 2 police cars. The only damage is all the bullet holes.
There's no justification for what they did to him.
The family of Diante Yarber is speaking out following the 26-year-old's death after he was shot by Barstow police officers. A portion of the April 5th encounter at this Walmart was captured by cell phone video. It shows the black Mustang Yarber was driving going in reverse, almost hitting an officer standing behind the car. A witness in the parking lot says that's when police started firing.
And they actually told him to stop moving. And they didn't, because the Mustang actually just like reversed back and actually like crashed into 2 cars, or I don't know how bad the crash was.
Lee Merritt, the attorney for the Yarber family, says the use of force was excessive.
I don't think that any force was necessary. Their initial stop, there was no reasonable suspicion for the stop. And so Mr. Yarber, I believe, was within his rights to leave the police encounter at any point.
In a press release, the Barstow Police Department says officers were responding to a call of a suspicious vehicle and believe Yarber was wanted for questioning in a vehicle theft. An investigation is underway. But Merritt says the car belonged to Yarber's cousin, who was also in the vehicle, and that Yarber didn't comply with law enforcement because he was in fear for his life.
Just growing up, and as quite frankly, as a black man in America, he had a fear of law enforcement.
While Yarber wasn't armed at the time of the shooting, he does have a lengthy criminal past, and records show had a current felony warrant for his arrest. The family is planning on filing a lawsuit on behalf of his 3 children. The mother of his 7-year-old daughter says it's been tough.
It's really hard. I would never, ever had imagined to even have to talk to her about this.
I want justice for my brother. I want the officers that were involved in shooting my brother, I want them to pay for it.
The lawsuit will be filed on Monday for unspecified damages. A funeral service will be held for Yarber in Barstow on April 27th. The service is open to the public.
Now understand this, when they have evidence against you, they will show it. They have no problem showing the evidence against you. But when there's no evidence, they just won't say anything. They'll just let people debate about that part. But always ask them for evidence. Always ask them for proof of what they say. Because a lot of times they make shit up. And whenever you start talking about proof and evidence, that's when they start talking about, well, this person had a criminal past. They're trying to use this brother Diante Yarber's past against him. And they want to bring it up to justify his murder. But the cop who shot him, Officer Jimmie Alfred Walker, they don't want to bring up his past. They're not going to mention his criminal record. In 2010, this cop, Officer Jimmie Alfred Walker, was arrested on a hate crime and battery charges. He was using racial slurs while he was assaulting a man and woman while he was off duty. And it's hard to tell when they're off duty or on duty in plain clothes. But for his hate crime and battery charges, he was released on a $50,000 bail, and eventually they let him plead guilty to a lesser crime. So now the fact he committed a hate crime doesn't have to go on his record, and he doesn't count towards those crime percentages they like to use, especially when they're talking about what about black-on-black crime. But the fact that he pleaded guilty to a lesser crime helped him get his job back, and not only that, he was paid a settlement. Now, I've never seen anyone plead guilty of a crime and get paid a settlement. But they let Officer Jimmie Alfred Walker go right back onto the streets, no problem. And then in this case, he told Diante Yarber, "Nigga, we're gonna kill you." But the police, of course, was still out there caping for him and justifying this murder. Even though he broke policy. The police policy clearly says you're not supposed to fire at a moving vehicle. Especially when there's other people in the vehicle. But they have a code, and their code overrides any policies, any laws, the Constitution, whatever. They understand the importance of being on code. And we can't even get on code on simple things. And until we can start getting on code and doing what we have to do, then this will continue to happen because they have built a system to protect themselves. It not only allows them to harm us, they have been benefiting from it for hundreds of years. We have no other choice but to get on code, to build systems to protect ourselves, to build systems to protect our children. Because at the end of the day, we are all we got.
These passengers feared for their own lives during the incident. They disagree with what police have said about the deadly shooting, a shooting they say was not justified.
Basically, I know he's dead because I hear him take his last breath.
Wesley Yarber, one of 3 passengers in a car driven by his cousin, describes the tense moments after police opened fire on the vehicle, killing 26-year-old Diante Yarber. The shooting in the parking lot of a Barstow Walmart recorded on a cell phone. The black Mustang is seen going in reverse, almost hitting a police officer standing behind the car.
At the process of him going backwards, I just hear gunshots. At that point, I just felt I should be ducking, and I ducked, and bullets kept coming.
Barstow police say the April 5th shooting happened after the 26-year-old backed into a police car, accelerated toward the officers, and then hit another police vehicle. His passengers say that's not what happened.
Diante did not ram no police cars.
Mariama Safoya was wounded when the officers fired several shots at the car.
They shoot at him so many times that he's just loses control of the car, I guess, and the car's still rolling, and we hit. We finally get to a stop because we hit the car.
We come to a stop. At that point, I'm just thinking, keep my hands up so I don't get shot.
Authorities say the officers were responding to a suspicious vehicle call. Yarber was not armed but had a lengthy criminal history.
The situation wasn't that serious for anybody to be getting shot at, let alone, okay, the driver, but then there's other people in the car too.
Attorneys are preparing to file lawsuits on behalf of those passengers and Yarber's family.
How did dropping off children at school suddenly escalate to this? Police body cam video captures the entire incident.
What's going on, ma'am?
The first contact the Barstow police officer has is with this blonde woman who says she called the police to the school.
She gets out of her car, comes over here, punches my window.
No damage to the woman's car. The Barstow police officer then clearly says this.
I don't see right now, I don't see a crime that has been committed. If there was damages, I would give you the opportunity to place her under citizen's arrest if you wanted to. I don't see any crime.
The officer walks over to the other woman, Michelle Cooks, who had just dropped off her second-grade daughter at school. She's upset after the confrontation with the other woman.
She was honking and honking, so I'm like, roll my window and see what she wants. She was like, you cannot park right, you cannot drive right here. This is a one-lane thing.
The officer then asks for Cook's name.
Okay, what is your name, ma'am?
I'm not giving you my name.
Cooks gets on the phone to call her boyfriend.
Ma'am, I'm going to give you 2 minutes.
He gives her about 20 seconds.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Ma'am, please.
Do not touch me. Do not. I'm pregnant. Do not touch me.
Cooks is 8 months pregnant and never stops screaming.
What are you doing? Stop! Let my arm go!
She is arrested.
In your opinion, how did the officers treat you? Like an animal? Like a monster?
This is Michelle Cooks today. Cooks says police charged her with resisting arrest, but a judge dismissed the charges. She gave birth to her daughter, Olive, 2 months after the arrest. She was healthy at birth. Her mother, though, remains traumatized.
You just looked at me and said, oh, she must be this way, and I'm not that way. You make me feel that I'm a way that I'm not, and I work so hard to provide for my family. This is not an issue that I wanted.
Is this a window into the national discourse of police conduct?
I think so. This is how it is every day for some of us in the Black community. This is how it is. And the only difference is the technology that records it and the internet that projects it.
And Kyung Lok joins us now. What are police telling you?
Well, police are saying that they have opened up an internal investigation now that they are aware of this body cam video. We did get a fuller statement, though, from the city of Barstow, and it reads as follows. It is apparent that Ms. Cooks actively resisted arrest. The Barstow Police Department continues to be proactive in training its officers to assess and handle interactions with emotionally charged individuals. This incident is in no way racially motivated. Certainly, Ms. Cooks disagrees.
And
what issues again?
Stop recording.
In the state of Washington, I can record anything I want to.
I'm done.
So why can't I come here?
Sir, I'm asking you.
So I haven't cursed anyone. I buy food here every day. Why can't I come into your store?
Sir,
I'm gonna come regardless because I haven't done anything to your location.
Do I really have to call the police?
Yeah, call them because I want to know why I can't come in your location anymore. I've done nothing to her, but her employee came next door to get a job, and I gave her a job because she was crying because she has 4 kids.
Okay.
I come over here every day and spend money with your location.
You're telling me different things than what she's telling
because she's
me?
lying. Because as
an
an area, you're supposed to do investigating before you say a paying customer that spends money in your location every day can't come back to your location.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Right, and I'm going to. So I am at a Jersey Mike's in Tukwila, Washington, and I'm being refused service because she said that she's uncomfortable, the manager here, and I've done nothing but come in here and pay every day.
Tonight, some new Richmond residents are calling their neighbors racist.
One family has their display on the front porch with several Confederate flags, but that's not all. A warning now, some of the images you're about to see, they might be offensive to some. Fox 19 Now's Maytal Levy is live in New Richmond. She has a reaction.
Just down the road here on Ohio State Route 132, one home is getting lots of attention. One viewer reached out to me directly, calling that display disturbing and racist. Tonight I spoke to the family who put that display up. You decide, racist or not.
No way, shape, or form should anybody think it is racist.
You be the judge. A black mannequin with painted lips, these figures with wigs strapped to the porch, and multiple Confederate flags of all sizes sit outside this home in the 2000 block of State Route 132. What would you say to someone who's driving by this and says that family hates black people?
I would say, everybody hates everybody, It just depends on what you hate, what you like.
Louis Jones Jr. lives here with his father. He and his friend Tammy spoke to us about the display, saying it's been up for years.
They went up, a few of them at one time, and then a couple more were added, but the flags have always flown. That's for our country.
They ain't got nothing to do with race. We ain't racial.
Jones tells me he's proud to fly the Confederate flag.
The rebel flag, it's not.
Confederate flag.
Yeah, it's not race. It's just for the war that we won,
Which war?
The Civil War.
And we is in the South or the North?
We is in the North.
So that flag would be the wrong flag to fly.
In some people's eyes.
Jim Wenker has lived in Claremont County for most of his life. He says Lindale is fairly quiet, but some things are unacceptable.
If he's doing something in poor taste with something black as an effigy or whatever, that's not appropriate.
So back to the display.
This is nothing but antique art.
As for those black figures,
all the baseball players on there are actual, from the first blacks that played the baseball game.
They were asking specifically also what the black mannequin is supposed to represent.
Oh, not like the mom of the baseball players, basically.
Jones tells me his family has received threats over that display, but they have no plans to take it down anytime soon.
All right, and we back on the forecast. So out in Cali and Barstow, a mentally ill brother, Nathaniel Pickett, was shot right outside of his door by San Bernardino police. So let's go back and see what led the police to shoot this mentally ill brother.
This is a video that depicts the last few moments of Mr. Pickett's life. Is that correct?
It is, and as indicated on the screen, this occurred on November 19th, 2015 in Barstow at the El Rancho Motel in Barstow.
Okay. Now looking at the screen, one of the first things we're going to see, I believe, is just partially of the legs or of the officer and of Mr. Pickett. Is that correct?
It is, and it's important to note that this is also a motel/apartment where Mr. Pickett actually lived.
All right. And the other thing we should watch for is that after he speaks to Mr. Pickett, who suffers from a mental illness, we're going to see the officer walk parallel to him. And we've heard from witnesses that as he's walking parallel to him, that he is going ahead and trying to provoke him and saying, and incite him. Is that what we've got the reports from the witnesses?
It is. Several of the witnesses actually use the word antagonize. So it looks like right now, if you watch the video, you're going to see at the very top of the screen, Mr. Pickett in the hallway.
Okay. So there's Mr. Pickett in the hallway, and he's talking to the officer.
But look as he rocks back and forth. That's important.
A lot of the medications on people that are mentally ill, they seem to almost be restless at times.
Mr. Pickett's behavior is non-aggressive. He seems to be communicating with the deputy, not being threatening in any manner.
Right. And so we saw the deputy follow him, and that's where the witness says, no, leave him alone. Now, what do we have here at this top?
It looks like, from what I can tell, is that Mr. Pickett is stopped at the end of the hallway. The deputy, again, just outside the hallway, but parallel to him, and it looks like there's some communication. But the body language is really important. Don't see any threats of aggression or rapid movements from Mr. Pickett that would threaten the officer in any way.
And by the way, he's committed no crime. He's done nothing wrong. He lives here.
No, isn't the reason that he even had contact with the deputy something that was very minor?
It was indeed, and that's what I think. Oh, now we seem to have some kind of a confrontation right here going on with the officer, it looks like, grabbing and throwing Mr. Pickett.
Wow.
Okay, now at this point, look how fast he was thrown down.
It does look like Mr. Pickett was pushed or thrown.
Now over to the right, you're going to see, that's the ride-along, and now Mr. Pickett's down. He took a terrible loss and a hit at that speed going down there. He looks to be unconscious. He doesn't seem to be resisting whatsoever. Is that how you see it, Sharon?
That's exactly how I see it, and I'm sure he sustained some injuries from that fall
oh my
down
God,
those
that
steps.
officer is just pounding on him with his fist, just beating him.
What's the ride-along doing?
There's the ride-along that shows up, and he kicks him right there. You can see that he kicks him. Where is the danger to the officer? Where is the danger, Sharon?
And why is there a civilian ride-along getting involved in this altercation anyway?
Now, Mr. Pickett, we believe at this time, is dead. Is that correct?
Yes, and that appears to be a neighbor poking her head out to find out what's happened. I'm sure the gunshot alerted her to that there's something awful going on outside of her room.
So we have Mr. Pickett dead to the right, an officer to the left, laying there.
The ride-along doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah, the ride-along, God knows what he's doing over there, other than having witnesses go back inside. And now, we're taking another look at it again. He's in the air, Sharon.
It's a little closer shot.
Yes, much
Oh,
closer.
it looks like the deputy has raised his hand. If you look at his right arm, looks like he was in the position where he would be pointing the gun at Mr. Pickett.
Right. Look at that body. There's no fighting going on. There's no resisting going on. His arms are going there. And now we're going to see punches thrown. Is that what we're going to see? His hand is up. His arm is up.
Oh, shots, fists to the face.
All over the place. And he's not doing anything. He's not resisting.
Mr. Pickett is putting up no fight.
And there we see the kick from the ride-along once again. And when you take a look at this, you realize, oh my God, this man has done nothing. He has committed no crime. And he's laying in front of us right now dead.
So the police claim Deputy Cal Woods saw this brother, Nathaniel Pickett, jumping over a fence, so obviously they had to go stop him. Then they claim he gave him the wrong name and he was uncooperative. But this brother lived there, so I don't know why he would be jumping over the gate to somewhere he lives. And he was just trying to go home. Then police said when Officer Cal Woods tried to handcuff him, and I don't know why they would handcuff him, they never said why. But they said when he tried to handcuff him, he fought and tried to run. The police tried to say his nose was broken, he had broken ribs, trying to make it seem like this brother Nathaniel Pickett was beating the cop up. The cop was beating Nathaniel Pickett up, not the other way around. The man was hurt and the cop was over top of him, punching him in the face. And then a civilian ride-along comes in and gets a few kicks in. But that shouldn't be a surprise. They're all on code. They would deputize all of these people in a heartbeat. They don't even have to be deputized to run in and get a few kicks in. And the video clearly shows he was standing over top of him while his brother was laying on the ground trying to scoot back. And the cop shot him right in the chest. He wasn't reaching for his gun. He wasn't punching him. He wasn't running. He wasn't even on his feet. He was on his back. And the cop stood over top of him and shot him. Now, they justified the shooting, and they didn't charge him, but even the jury decided to give the family $33 million.
The attorney for that man's family says this is the largest verdict ever given to a family in a wrongful death police shooting case, $33.5 million. But the mother of the man says she is not done yet. She wants to see criminal charges against that deputy. On the steps of a federal courthouse in downtown L.A., a grieving mother is finding some relief. After 2 years of fighting with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, a federal jury gave Dominic Archibald possibly the largest verdict ever given to a family in a wrongful death police shooting case, $33.5 million.
My son did not commit a crime. He was not armed. He was 100 feet from his front door. All he wanted to do was go home.
Grainy video shows the November 2015 night and the final moments of 29-year-old Nathaniel Pickett's life. Lawyer Dale Gallipo says Pickett was walking back to his Barstow motel room unarmed when Deputy Kyle Woods tried to unlawfully arrest him, which ended up in a struggle. During the trial, a medical examiner testified the deputy shot him point blank in the chest. In reaction to the verdict, the Sheriff's Department gave us this statement, saying, "We strongly disagree with the outcome of the jury's decision, especially after the district attorney ruled that under the facts, circumstances, and the applicable law, our deputy was illegally justified in using deadly force to protect himself. Our attorneys, the department, and the county will be discussing appealing the civil jury's award."
What they should be doing is seeing what type of training they can instill in their officers to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Pickett's mother is an Army officer who moved to California after 2 tours overseas. She's since started a foundation in her son's name to help other families in similar situations.
It's been difficult for me as an experienced and educated person. I just can't imagine sometimes what families with no resources are truly going through.
And the attorney for Pickett's family says that Deputy Woods has since been involved in another deputy-involved shooting involving an unarmed man back in January. However, that person did survive.
So even though the family got a settlement, which was the largest in history, $33 million, they still justified this shooting. Now, of course, the DA and the police chief all said they disagree with the jury. Of course they do. But that's what happens when you let people investigate themselves. We're expecting them to give us justice and punish themselves. It's not going to happen. They're going to go out of the way to criminalize this brother. They said he may have been under the influence, and since he was resisting, it was justified. They even tried to claim that he was grabbing for the gun, but the evidence says otherwise. But they don't want to talk about Deputy Kyle Woods' history. This cop had to be admitted into the court's mental health program. And despite all of that, they put him right back on the streets and he shoots somebody else. That is what they do. And they stay on the same page and they will go out of the way to protect each other. But we always have those African Americans that say, well, if you didn't do the crime, then this wouldn't have happened in the first place. Now, we all probably have some form of Stockholm Syndrome. But there are a lot of us that have severe Stockholm Syndrome, and we will go out of the way to protect our oppressors. But when it comes to protecting our own, we start talking about, well, right is right and wrong is wrong. Like with the Bill Cosby case. They went out of the way to get this man. Now, he was one of those brothers that say, well, black people need to pull up their pants and stop using cuss words. He was one of those black people that today he would basically say, well, what about black on black crime and look at Chicago? And whether you think he's guilty or not, they broke laws to get this man convicted. Because laws don't mean anything to them. They will break their own laws anytime they have to. They will move the goalposts anytime they have to. But I'm not seeing that same energy with people like Harry Weinstein or Charlie Sheen or Woody Allen. I don't see that same energy. And for the people who say it's not about race, it's about economics, no, poor white men can get away with rape. Brock Turner doesn't have Bill Cosby money, but he'll probably get a lesser sentence. A 16-year-old white boy raped a 1-year-old baby and put it on the internet. They gave him 10 years suspended so he won't have to do a day in jail. Poor white men can get away with more stuff than rich black men like Bill Cosby, who was one of those what about black on black crime black people. White women can falsely accuse, which historically has been harmful to black men, and nothing happens to them. That lady who lied on Emmett Till, Carolyn Bryant, she admitted she lied. There's no statute of limitation. They never tried her. They can try her for murder, but they didn't do anything. Donald Trump was accused of rape by multiple women, including his own wife. And he was elected the president. But we're still out here begging and crying and protesting and asking for justice from these people like they're really going to punish themselves. At the end of the day, we are the only ones that can protect ourselves. And that's why it's important for us to build institutions in order to protect us. Institutions to help our mentally ill. and institutions to punish people who harm us. But until we put aside our tribalist mindset and understand that no matter what our beliefs are, it doesn't matter because we're still subject to someone else's laws and punishments.
Mr. Pickett's mother, Dominic Archibald, to this day indicates that she just cannot watch this video, and I understand completely why.
At the end of this video, there's going to be two things that are going to be added on. At the end of this video, you're going to see Mr. Pickett, after they run over and check on the officer, make sure he's okay. Never check on Mr. Pickett. You won't see any ambulances come and rescue, and you'll see a deputy or law enforcement officer throw his body to the side like it's a garbage bag.
I just can't believe that there weren't any medical personnel on hand to render aid to Mr. Pickett. It's just unconscionable.
Well, Sharon, if that bothers you, you and I both know that what happens after this is even worse. They don't refrigerate his body and it rots. Look at that officer change his position. That's amazing. Why is he coming over to Mr. Pickett, who's obviously dead? And what is he doing? Now, here's the deputies coming to help the officer. No one's checking on Mr. Pickett.
No, I believe that at some point, two deputies actually dragged Mr. Pickett's body off the scene, again, before medical personnel have even assessed Mr. Pickett's condition.
How about the fact that it's a crime scene and there needs to be some preservation of evidence? Does that ever seem to dawn on anyone's mind here at all?
Amazing.
And what was the alleged injury to the deputy?
I think that we had heard through different sources, maybe a broken nose, possibly a broken rib. I don't know that those sources were ever authenticated, though.
What I saw would not involve him getting injured whatsoever. And it looked to me as though Mr. Pickett's body was feebly laying on the ground and perhaps he was unconscious or near death.
And you have to keep going back to the question, what is it that Mr. Pickett did to deserve to be shot down?
He's done no wrong. There's no crime been committed. They would teach officers that if you stole a television or money, you can't shoot him for property. But I guess out here is that if you have a problem with an officer, it could cost you your life. And Sharon, this is going on not just here, but all over America.
Students demand more action from Cal Poly administrators after the latest wave of controversies. A series of racist episodes is fanning the flames of tension on campus.
Last week, Cal Poly suspended the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity after a photo of a member in blackface circulated on social media. Yesterday, administrators suspended Greek life indefinitely after a several weeks old photo was shared showing Sigma Nu members dressed in what the fraternity admitted was cultural misappropriation. Also yesterday, a Cal Poly professor shared pictures of racist vandalism found in a bathroom on campus, as well as a defaced and offensive poster.
Professors, students say racist posters around campus have been found multiple times other than this instance. But just yesterday, a rash of posters were found in the English building, some of them essentially comparing students of color to animals.
Professor Neil McDougall says he has inclusion material posted outside his office stating that he stands with undocumented and students of color. On Tuesday, he came across his property slashed.
I looked up at my sign that says I'm an unafraid educator, and someone had slashed with a razor or scissors or a knife across, an X across it. So that was more disturbing.
Just down the hall, someone wrote the N-word on a bathroom stall, which we've blurred out, tacked posters outside of his door, and distributed flyers comparing people with dark skin to high rates of rape and homicide.
But I think with other students and other faculty, and I've spoken to them, it's extremely troubling. And this is in the context of, our president has said there is no culture of racism in Cal Poly or the United States, and that I find very troubling.
Today, the Board of Directors for Cal Poly students listened to an hour's worth of student and faculty comments at their meeting today. Students are calling for more to be done to help and support students of color on campus.
Professors and students have told me that a rash of racist posters and incidents has happened this week. As racial tensions continue to dominate the conversation here at Cal Poly, students are continuing to speak up.
Our black and brown students do not have the representation that they need. We have less than 200 black students on campus and over 12,000 white students. They are outnumbered every single day that they step foot on this campus.
The Associated Student Board of Directors serves as the official voice for students at Cal Poly. At Wednesday's meeting, students took the podium to express their well-being on campus.
It's not one incident. It's decades, it's centuries of racism on this campus. It's not this one incident, and it's not this one group, and it's not this one person. It's a culture on this campus.
With the Cal Poly president sitting in on the meeting, students voiced their concerns about covert and overt forms of racism towards people of color on campus.
It's really heartbreaking to me, and I know we are all one community, but to know that these students don't feel safe at all. And this week I've had hurtful things said to me by parents I have never met and whose students have not even yet accepted Cal Poly.
You all should be ashamed. Administration should be ashamed that the work that people are doing here, the students of color are doing here, this is work you guys should be doing. Students of color are losing sleep. They're not focused on their classes. You guys don't see what's going on in the background. And I see it every day, and I see the pain, and I see the struggle. And it's just, you should be ashamed that they're the ones that are being burdened with this job. This is not their job.
Students said tonight they do not want to let administration forget about the issues that they talked about at this meeting, and they will continue to hold the conversation throughout the university.
If you had to guess what state this viral racist promposal comes from, what would you guess? If your answer was Florida, you win. Nothing, because of course it's Florida. Welcome back to What's Trending. I'm Martine Bierman. Make sure to subscribe for more social media and news stories every day. This image, originally posted to Snapchat, has been widely shared across other social media platforms this week. It's a promposal from Riverview High School student Noah Crowley. The sign reads, "If I was black, I'd be picking cotton, but I'm white, so I'm picking you for prom." The Snapchat featured 2 heart eye emojis from the recipient suggesting that she accepted his promposal. And a lifetime of hatred, bigotry, and racism together. It's worth noting that articles surrounding the controversy have refrained from identifying the recipient of the message since she's a minor. Crowley, however, is 18 years old, so he's been identified and should know better, or be better. He should know and be better. Riverview High School student Erin Williams shared the snap on her Facebook, where it got national attention.
I'm angry and I'm hurt and I'm confused.
Williams posted the picture on her Facebook page, and it has since gone viral. She says this isn't the first time racial incidents have occurred on Riverview's campus, giving the school a bad name.
Erin says there's been rampant racism at her high school in the past weeks, where she's been called the N-word and an uneducated black bitch. She also says Noah recently threw a banana at a mixed student and told him to go fetch. She said on Facebook, "I did not mean none of this for violence or to start a riot. I simply wanted to educate everyone on what's been happening in our school and wanting to shine a light on a dark situation."
I don't know why it took them this long, or it took administration this long to figure out how big of a problem this is, but I'm glad something's being done about it now.
The school district and the principal have gotten involved. According to another Riverview student on Twitter, Noah has been banned from going to prom and from walking in graduation, although the school itself has not yet announced any disciplinary action. According to a media statement, they're still conducting an ongoing investigation. In a message sent to parents, Principal Kathy Wilkes wrote, "Many who saw the post are understandably upset with its contents as well as the subsequent commentary to the post. Riverview High School absolutely does not condone or support the message conveyed in this post." It took until Monday for Crowley to realize that what he said was a complete dick move, and then he apologized for his post. He wrote, "Anyone that knows me, and the student he asked to prom, knows that that's not how we truly feel. It was a complete joke and it went too far. After reading the texts and Snapchats, I truly see how I've offended people and I'm sorry." Again, it took your post going viral for you to realize that that is a completely disgusting and inappropriate thing to say. What a life lesson you must be having right now. But other students and friends of Noah have defended him.
He's never gotten in a fight over race or anything like that at school. He's never gotten in an argument over it. So I don't think that he is racist at all.
But the president of Sarasota's NAACP chapter told the local ABC affiliate that Noah must have known what he was doing.
But he would have to have known what is going on in our communities, in our societies, around this world, and what would make him do something like that. I was just in total disbelief, and my heart was just saddened at the same time.
Of course he knew what he was doing. He called it a joke. The district said it's working with local leaders to create a forum to encourage the discussion of race among students. A remarkably similar incident happened last year at Monarch High School in South Florida, where a few students wrote a sign reading, "You may be picking cotton, but we're picking you to go to prom with us." 2 students were suspended after that sign.
Appropriate for me to say nigga if it's in a song and I'm singing the lyrics, or is it not appropriate for me to say nigga? Let me know. Give a shit about appropriate for me to say nigga if it's in a song and I'm singing the lyrics, or is it not appropriate for me to say nigga? Let me know.
Racist and vulgar rant by 2 women has sparked an investigation at 2 separate universities. One of the students has been identified as a sorority member at William Patterson University. Officials and other students at that school calling it disgusting. New Jersey reporter Tony Yates live in Wayne with a reaction. Tony?
And Diana, you know, it is a hot topic here on campus. We got a lot of students who said no comment, but at the same time, some of the students who did see the video jumped at the chance to express their feelings. This is one of the videos posted on social media.
Appropriate for me to say if it's in a song and I'm singing the lyrics, or not for me to say let me know.
She asks if it's appropriate or not for her to say the slang version of the N-word since it's used in many popular songs. This is the second video. We have it silenced because the entire rant is racy and the same word is used. One of the women is identified as a William Patterson University student and a member of Delta Phi Epsilon sorority. The other is said to be a Penn State student. The videos are being denounced by students we spoke to at the school.
I think it's like disgusting and very backwards.
To put it on social media and out there, I think is very just unprofessional in an environment like this. So
yeah, it's definitely inappropriate.
I even asked, is her question valid? The word can be heard in songs that millions of people listen to.
We made that something that we took from, that was ignorant, then we made it our own thing to make us feel good as people about it. But overall, I don't think that you're in a place to want to have to use that for your own, support.
William Patterson University released a statement saying in part, we are disgusted by this behavior which does not reflect our values. University staff are investigating. Penn State says we condemn racist messages as they are hateful and violate our institutional values, but it says it can't punish their student. She's protected by the right to free speech. Delta Phi Epsilon's international office says it is aware of the situation and will take swift, decisive action to remove her or any member who does not uphold our values.
Members of Syracuse Theta Tau fraternity are apologizing for an offensive video that triggered protests on campus and led to the frat's suspension. A roughly 6-minute video shows what appears to be fraternity members performing skits using racist, sexist, and other crude language. The chapter apologized overnight in a letter saying, quote, "Our house is not and has never been a place for hate." Adriana Diaz is outside the suspended fraternity's house in Syracuse. Adriana, good morning.
Good morning. Syracuse University police are now investigating the video, which is hard to watch. A student newspaper, the Daily Orange, discovered it on a secret Facebook page for fraternity brothers.
White people.
The lewd and crude video shows what appears to be Theta Tau brothers joking about the Holocaust
Get in the shower
and using racist slurs.
I solemnly swear to always have hatred in my heart for. To always have hatred in my heart for. Oh, no.
The chapter apologized overnight in a lengthy letter, saying it's with profound embarrassment and disappointment in ourselves that we find our fraternity in this situation. But they say the frat is not a hate group or a house full of bigots. Instead, the letter says the video recorded last month shows a satirical sketch performed by fraternity pledges intended to roast active brothers. It says the young men were playing characters and do not hold the views they expressed in the video. The national fraternity's top official said in a Facebook post Thursday, the actions of these individuals are truly disgraceful, and we will take appropriate action based on the findings of the investigation.
We are not them, they are not us, and they do not represent this community.
Students have marched across campus demanding the university hold the fraternity brothers accountable. Syracuse President Kent Syverud said a comprehensive review of the Theta Tau chapter is now underway. He also promised a series of reforms, including diversity training for all members of the Greek system and a closer look at the role of deans and other university leaders.
The first time I viewed it, I was sick to my stomach.
Dolan Ivanovich, a Syracuse senior vice president, says campus police have interviewed all 48 members of Theta Tau for possible violations like hazing and abusive language.
It's shocking. It's appalling. It is activity that is against all of our community standards and values. That's why we immediately suspended this fraternity and will conduct a very thorough review and analysis.
Penalties could range from suspension to expulsion for the fraternity brothers. And according to the Daily Orange, this chapter here is the 4th fraternity to be suspended by the school this academic year. The other 3 were for hazing. Gail.
Adriana, thank you so much. I just don't know what it's going to take for people to realize this isn't funny.
Right.
You know, I don't think it does any good to expel them, but I think there has to talk about racial bias training, sensitivity training. Even as a joke, it just is not funny.
It's not funny, and I think the president of Syracuse University should sit down with them and talk to them, because even if they were expelled,
yes.
they're going to go out into society.
Yeah.
And so there has to be kind of a learning experience here and a discussion about it.
That's exactly the right point. It's not just what's already in their hearts. Fraternities, when they defend themselves, they say they need these kinds of events among brothers to build up a brotherhood around common experience. So look at what's at the heart of this common experience. It is hatred and bigotry. So you're sending them out in the world armed with that kind of hate.
Yeah.
All right, and we back on the forecast. And I want to say RIP to the brother Diante Yarber and the brother Nathaniel Pickett. And I don't know how much blood needs to be spilled for us to wake up. They are on the attack right now. This is another uprising. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, because it's not up to you. You're subject to somebody else's laws and punishments. And they can do what they want to do, and they'll always move the goalposts. It doesn't matter what you see yourself as. It only matters is what they see you as. Because if you think I'm not like these other niggas, when they see you, they can't tell the difference. And so they'll treat you the same as the rest of us. And until we learn how to put aside our tribalism, then we'll continue to be subject to their laws and their punishments. And our blood will continue to be shed. So as always, man, we have got to start standing for something. Or we gonna keep falling for anything.